Hey, hi Suma. So in this video, we are going to learn more about some basic interview questions on what we
Yeah,
learned so far, and some few more concepts, interesting concept that we'll start to work in this session. So let's
yeah,
start.
yeah,
Okay, so as a fresher, okay, we are considering this as L1's level 1 program, okay, where we'll learn the few basic things what expect in
mm,
the market for freshers. So far
mm,
we have already covered, right, that relational database management system,
yeah,
right? So first of all, they will always ask you what means. Those are the basic questions. This might not be asked, but what is mean by SQL? So it's very
SQL.
simple, right? It's a structured query language that communicate with the
Mm,
relational database management systems. The SQL is a
mm,
language that helps to create and maintain and communicate with your relational database management system, right?
mm,
It's a very simple
yeah,
definitions. Most probably they will ask you, okay, they want to see means how much you are studious, how much you are good learner.
mm,
So they might be ask you which version you are using right now. Okay,
mm.
so what version you are using right now? SQL version.
I'm not sure.
That okay, so
Yeah,
I know, as if you went through my video, then
maybe it's 2011 or what. I'm not
mm,
sure.
no, 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 that's
What?
not. Okay, so
Not?
if you can
Mhm.
do, just select at that version and you'll get the later what is the version that you are using. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And
2022. Okay.
so I think
Mm.
you're also using the latest version. And if you are
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
if you have watched my
Yeah,
video, and as per my video, if you have installed, then definitely
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It could be 2022 only. I'm saying 2012.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Always remember, if you not remember the things, just tell them I'm not remember, but don't give any
Wrong answer.
blind
Okay.
answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
wrong answer. Because
Yeah.
there's huge difference between 2011 and this, right? So
Yeah.
always, okay, so they will ask you what is the version you are using, so that answer will help you them to understand how much you are
Sure,
updated.
sure.
Okay, how much you're
Yeah.
updated with the trend and technology.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
always go with even going forward, even after 3 months or 6 months, try to at least upgrade your version on your local machine. So that will
Mhm.
give you the
Okay.
feel that I'm using the latest version, and always try
Oh,
to figure out the what new features in SQL. Even you, if
okay.
you're not able to figure out, even I know as a level 1, you
Mhm.
even not know all the concepts what are available in the SQL. So
Yeah.
but still they will ask you, that what are the new features introduced in this version. Okay, so that will
Mhm.
help them to understand. They just want to understand, if you know, even the conceptually, let's say for example, query store is introduced, or
Mm.
some AI technology is introduced. Even if you give them
Mhm.
some conceptually, even they will be feel better. So this is
Okay.
assignment for you. Okay, so you have to figure out what are the
Sure.
new features available in the latest version that you are using. Okay,
Okay. Oh,
so always go with some basics, right? SQL, then which
yeah.
version you are using, what are the new features in that. Okay,
Mm.
right. Okay, now we'll go
Yeah.
with the important questions. Okay, and that, let's see his. Okay, this is my
Mm.
first question, then this is my second question, is which version that you are using.
Yeah.
Third is this one, and fourth is before that we'll go with this four. Okay,
Yeah.
control X. Now they will ask you what is the, what do you mean by DBMS, and what is RDBMS, and what is the difference between them. So we already explained that, right? So relational database management system, there is only there's R, right? That
Mhm.
is a relational database management system, and
Yeah.
DBMS stands for database management system. So
Hmm.
database management systems, so you can give the example of traditional systems where we used to store the data into the some notebooks, or maybe you can
Yeah,
say
notebooks.
you can give the you even Excels where storing the data, but there is no relationships, right? It's in
Mhm.
folders in the
Yeah.
files where storing the data, but there is no
Yeah.
relation. So it is very difficult to find out the, let's say the way we are finding into the relational database. It's very difficult to find in
Mhm.
the typical traditional way. So that's
Yeah.
nothing but the database management systems. And on top of database management, that relational database management system is again a same tables, a row, and data, but there is some relations between them. And then you can give the
Mm.
example of, let's say, application Amazon like applications having the customer order and order detail, customer order details and the product. So there is relations between them. They use the primary key and the foreign key. They keep the
Mm.
relationship between them, so it will be easy to fetch any data for any customers for any order from any city. So it's very
Yeah.
easy. It is just matter of having one single query, right?
Yeah.
And you get that, right? So that is the
Yeah.
power of relational database management systems, and that's why SQL is strong and trending into the market nowadays.
Mm.
Okay, so that's the questions they will ask. And uh, so this is the fourth question for us. Right now, let's come to the fifth question. So they will ask you, right, what is the
Mm.
constraint? What is the
Mm.
constraint? So when it comes to the constraints, so constraints are nothing but the set of rules that apply on relational database, okay, on tables
Okay.
or columns. So you will get some consistent and the valid data, right?
Okay.
So
Mm.
if you can see, the first is not null, right?
Okay.
So
Mm.
not null. So what is not null? So let's go to our database, okay, customer. I'll show you the practically what do you mean by the not null. Okay, so let's say this is my customer table, okay,
Mm.
and I'm clicking on the columns, okay. So you can see
Yeah.
that these are the null, null, not null,
Mm.
null, integer, null, null. So what it means, okay. So for this,
Yeah.
let me right click here, script, and create to and new query window. So
Mm.
this is the create statement, right?
Okay.
So this is the create statement for customer table, right?
Mm.
So you can see that, right? When I'm saying customer
Mm.
ID is integer identity, we are given the identity column so that
Yeah.
it will take one, 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 one. Every time
Mm.
it will take incremental value for one because it's my identity column. And
Mm.
I have mentioned this as a not null, right?
Which means it is required.
It is required. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, right? Customer ID is always unique and it is required. Let's say you are
Mm.
in college or in a school, we have always a roll number, right? There is no any student without roll number, correct?
Yeah.
So this is mandatory field, right? So that's why we put this as a not null. So whenever
Mhm.
in application, if imagines you have the Amazon applications, you are logging into the Amazon application, so you feel you find that, right, there is a star, red
Mm.
star is given while
Mhm.
putting that
Yeah.
information. So that means it's
Yeah.
mandatory, you should put that. So let's
Yeah.
say email ID. Now what is the mistake in this database is that I keep this customer name is null, but it
Null.
should be
Huh.
not null, right? It should be not null,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
But why keep this as a by default? Because I want to show you when you keep any when you not mention explicitly,
Mm.
then by
Mm.
default it's null.
It's
Okay.
null. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you have to explicitly you have to mention that it's not null, right? Customer name is not
Okay.
null. Email ID
Mm.
again a not null. My mobile number is always again a not null, right?
Mm.
So assignment for you is that
Mm.
create the customer tables considering
Mhm.
which attribute should be mandatory. So you can mention for this attribute as a not null. For this column, you can
Okay.
mention this as a not null. Okay.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
try to insert the data. First create without
Mm.
null. Okay. By default, just create a column and varchar hundreds and then go here and just generate the schema and see.
If I am practicing,
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
um, uh, should I be creating new databases?
Yeah, definitely. You can because it's your
Oh.
local machine, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can create a multiple your
Huh. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so you can create that's why you have to install the SQL server locally on your machine. So you have all the access. You can create the store procedures, you can create the
Yeah,
database, you
yeah.
can create the tables. But if you go the tools like online tools, you have
Mm-hmm.
limitations, right? So only you can do some
Yeah.
select statements, but you can not able to create the tables,
Mm-hmm.
or always you have to depends on that tools or online tools.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very important. So if you want to start
Mm-hmm.
your journey, you have to install this install on your local machine. And the good thing is that you have did the one of the most
Yeah,
important part. So I'm
yeah.
happy for that actually. So that shows your learning attitude. So it will
Mm-hmm.
be now easy. You can create n number of databases. You can see I have created already 4 or 5 databases. So you can
Mm-hmm.
create no problem. Okay. Until and unless there
Also,
is no
while closing, do we need to save it or like is it fine? While
what
closing the queries, like queries like in Amazon VB1, you have all these
yes,
queries,
right,
right?
right.
So do we need to save them or is it okay?
No, no, no. You have to save it, right? So that you can use in
Okay,
future.
huh.
In futures, it is
Okay.
just like a file, right? So you have
Because
to
it
save.
shows an option like, do you want to save this query, something?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to see the option?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it is same like your file, right? So you just go and just do a control yes. Okay.
That's
And
it, right?
yeah,
So,
that's it.
okay, yeah, like, so this is how it comes. Like, I'm saving it for now. So
Yeah.
we have to save, right?
Yes, yes, yes. You have to save because if you have written some code logics, then
Oh,
it will be easy for you to go through later, right? So that's why you need that.
exactly.
Okay. But
Oh,
the schema. So just create a customer tables with the default columns and don't give the
mm,
null or not null. Okay.
okay.
First practice you have to do the give the customer pass customer name, email ID, and data types only. Don't give this null or
Mm,
not null, and check it first what it happens. So by default it will take null values. So just go
okay.
once you create the database, just go to your database, go to your table, okay, right click
Mm,
and go to a script table as it will create your script. Okay, create to and
okay.
just click on the new query window. So it will create whatever the script you have created, right? Based on that,
Mm-hmm.
it is a system generated code, right? So you can say this is the system generated code. This is the
Okay.
system generated code. So you can check that your column will be by default null. So that means it
Okay.
will be understand for you because maybe in interview they will ask, right? What if I keep my customer if I
Mm,
not gives any value? So
value.
for this, so what will be the default constant? So default constant
Mm-hmm.
is always not null.
Yeah.
Sorry, null. I mean null. You can pass the null value. Okay. So
Yeah.
just go and do some inserts and check if I'm passing null value or I'm not considering this column while inserting. It will
Yeah.
allow you. Then
Sure.
go ahead again, then change the schema, drop the tables and create again schema with not null. Okay,
Hmm.
and then try to insert again. Okay, and see what happens. You'll get the error without that.
Oh.
Now my customer name is not null, right? Obviously customer name should be not null, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm saying customer is not null and if I'm trying to insert null value into this, it will give me
Mm-hmm.
the error. So you have to
Okay.
enjoy that error as well. So you'll learn more. Okay.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So do that things. So this is the first check. Okay.
Mhm.
For us. Okay. Not null.
Mm. Yeah.
Then there is unique constraint. Okay. Uh,
Mm.
primary key is not null and unique. Okay. No problem. So what is
Mm.
unique? So let's say,
Unique is that customer ID we did
yeah,
identity one.
correct. That is always unique, right?
Yeah.
So when you create identity column, by default, it's unique and
Yeah.
it's unique. Okay, so I will
Mm.
show you that as well, how it is unique and not null. So you can see here,
Yeah.
right? If you go to the schema and you find primary key integer, it's not null by default.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if I go to the constraint and where is the keys? Okay, if I go to the keys, you can see that
Mm.
this is my primary key, right? So when you
Yeah.
create a key, by default it gets some name, pk underscore customer, and this is
Mm.
system generated code. So when you
Yeah.
create a primary key, this is my constraint, right? So we're talking about constraint. So
Mm.
it by default, when you create a primary key, okay, by
Mm-hmm.
default it create this constraint, this key. If you
Yeah.
go and that script create to new query window, you can see that uh, it will be it will show you, right? It's a primary
Yeah.
key clustered.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
so
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's mentioned the clustered unique key here or not, but by default it's unique. Okay.
Okay.
Can I see in properties? Let me check if it is showing in the properties. Allow null false. Okay, that means it should not be null. Okay, no problem. I will show you that later. But when you create
Yeah.
identity column, by default it's unique and not null identity
Mm-hmm.
column. Okay, so
Mm.
that's our first thing.
Yeah.
Let me close few things. Okay, now what is the unique constant, right? So primary key is always, we are saying primary key is always not null and unique. But what about the unique key? For example, here is a this is my customer table, right? So
Mm.
identity column is always unique, no problem. But what will be
Mm.
the other column that should be unique? What do you think in customer
Uh,
table?
um,
That should be unique for one customer. So no other one can have the same value. So identity column or customer ID is always unique. But other than this, what do you think about other
Email
properties?
ID.
Email ID, right?
So,
It should be unique,
yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
you can't make this as, you can't have this two customer can't have the
Yeah.
same, right? So
I
this
did.
will be and I want to make it as not null, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to make this as a unique constant. So what I can do, I just have to use the unique.
Hmm.
Okay, and if I comma this, then it will create email ID with unique constant. So now
Hmm.
again, assignment for you,
Hmm.
just make a unique constant for this email ID and try to insert the, for a second customer, try to insert the same mail ID. Let's check
Okay.
what error you will get.
Hmm.
Definitely you will get the error, right? Just try
Yeah.
to reproduce that error, try to understand that error,
Yeah.
try to enjoy that error, and you will learn more. Got
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Again, tell me which one the more which one attribute also need to be unique in this.
Customer address.
A customer address can be same, right? Means same society at least.
Say, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The mobile number? No?
Okay. Are you asking me or are you answering?
No, I am like 50-50. Like maybe mobile
No,
number
no, no.
because no two people can have the same mobile number.
Actually, right? In real time, it's
Yeah.
not possible, right? That two
Yeah.
customer don't have the same mobile number, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course it should be, and again, it should be not null, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a mandatory field, and
Hmm.
you have to mention this as a unique constant. So it will create a unique constant. Okay. You can
Hmm.
go here and in keys, if you refresh this table after creating these tables, you will get
Hmm.
that keys here as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Hmm.
so that means it will create a primary key, it will create a unique key on this email ID, it will
Hmm.
create a unique key on the mobile number. Okay,
Yes.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, okay, now this is foreign key, right?
Hmm.
We already discussed about this foreign key, right? So foreign key is
Yeah.
nothing but the primary key of one table, and that is referenced in the other table. So my primary key in customer table is customer ID, right? And
Hmm.
that is nothing but a foreign key. Okay. You
Hmm.
can see here's
Hmm.
the column, right? So here is FK. Is FK
Foreign key
means
in
foreign
order
key.
detail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
foreign key order detail. So that will help to keep the relationship between the master and child, or you can call it as a parent and
Hmm.
child. So
Parent and
unique key
child.
and primary key is one of the most important keys in your
Hmm.
SQL, okay, journey.
Yeah.
And that unique again constant is also again very important, right? And
Hmm.
not null is also there. Okay, now
Yeah.
one more is there, right? Default is
Hmm.
also there, right? So
Hmm.
when you do a order, right? Let's say
Hmm.
when the entry goes into the orders, I don't want to put on on what date I have ordered, right? When you go to the
Hmm.
Amazon and do some shoppings, you just take care of what products I want on, and you just go and shop that, right? So you never think
Hmm.
about the order date, right? By default it will
Hmm.
take the today's date. right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that date is get default, right? So let's say
Hmm.
script as create into new query window. If I am creating this order detail, okay. So this is my order date, right? But
Hmm.
I have kept this by default null. Okay. So actually it
Hmm.
should be not null, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
First thing. Second, I don't have to insert the value for this because it should take by default date, whatever the default date, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
identity column by default get inserted, right? So I not need to worry about
Yeah.
this column. The same way, when customer doing the order, let's say today, by default it should take today's date,
Hmm.
right?
Today's
So
date.
there is option you can add as a default. Okay,
Default.
so
Okay.
default is a keyword, and that will
Hmm.
take care of your uh and default. What default value I want? Okay, so we have this
Hmm.
function, right? Get date. So that
Hmm.
get date gives us the current date, right?
Yeah.
So if I go and do select get date, I will get my current date, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Current date and time, it will take accurate
Fine.
time, right? So that's the reason.
Hmm.
This is what again the interesting fact, right?
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
order
So
date.
we'll put both default and get date.
Yeah, correct.
No?
Default is the keyword. You are saying with this, yeah, correct. You're correct. So default is the keyword. By that keyword, you are saying for this order date, I want
Yeah.
the default value for this column, for this attribute. But what default
Oh,
value you want, right? So default value will
yeah,
be the
yeah.
get date, right? Again, I will
Get
give the
date.
one more
Hmm.
interesting example. Okay. Now tell
Yeah.
me, when you ordered something from the Amazon, what is the
Mm-hmm.
default state of the shipped, one or
Uh,
zero? Shift or not? Shift one for yes and zero
yeah,
for
shift is one. Yeah, shift is one.
no.
Zero is not.
Okay. Let me rephrase. Is
Yeah.
shift. This is my column, okay,
Yeah.
and each shift is my column, okay, and what I'm doing here, that it will store the value 1 or 0, okay, so I'm giving it as a bit, okay. Now tell me, if I order something, so by default, what will be the status of that order? Is it one
It
or
will
zero?
zero.
Right? Because it is
Yeah.
by default it will be 0 because
Zero.
immediately
Yeah.
it will not delivered, right?
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least it will take 4 hours, 8 hours, one day,
Yeah.
2 day, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now is shift for this also, I want to keep my value as not null, let's say, and
Mm.
default value I want to keep as a 0.
Zero.
That's it.
Hmm.
So I don't have to put value for this as well.
Hmm. Got it.
Make sense?
Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is how SQL is very well defined with this
Hmm.
all these rules, so that you will get a consistent and accurate data. So there will be integrity, right? The customer table
Yeah.
and order details tables. So there is less chance of getting or populating the incorrect data, right?
Hmm.
So you not need to worry about that order date because it will automatically take the current date. You not need to worry
Hmm.
about the default status. It will take automatically, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Identity columns, it should take
Hmm.
automatically and generates your order number. When it's
Hmm.
customer, it should automatically generate your customer ID. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of things, interesting things in SQL, and all
Hmm.
these constraints makes the SQL a strong with data integrity and
Hmm.
integrity and consistency. Okay, so you will
Okay.
you will not find bad records or some inconsistent data, but sometimes still it happens with the manual data migrations activity, some insertion, that things happens. But if you take care of all these constraints, you will never get inconsistent data.
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's it for this session, Soma. In the
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
sessions, we'll again go through the DDL, DMLs group by where
Sure.
max,
Yeah.
average, what are these? And these are again a
Hmm.
very interesting part, and we'll learn this with a practical scenario. What is use of this max? What is the use of average? We'll understand with real time means with this real time example of customer order and products. Okay. So
Hmm.
do one thing, that do practice all these steps, do all these
Sure.
constraints. Okay,
Sure.
this is the very important
Yeah.
again interview questions. So do this
Hmm.
practically. Try to create null, not null, then default values. Check if you pass this
Hmm.
column. If you're not pass this column while insert, what errors you are getting. Okay, and just
Hmm.
enjoy that errors and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see in the next video. Let me stop the recording.
Yeah.